So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots, Gaytriots, Theytriots.
Fuck off!
Oh my God, you did it and you remembered.
I kind of killed it, I feel like.
I feel like you absolutely crushed it. Welcome to America's top DEI podcast. You guys, there's been a vibe shift in the country. Trump has proven to be every bit the disaster that we knew he was going to be. It is a faceplant beyond all faceplants. We've taken the eagle back off the shelf, rebranded her, thanks to a great listener.
Right.
And we've got to fight on and try to save this country. But before we do that, it's time to dip our toes into some petty grievances. Pumps, what have you had it with?
What I've had it with, and this, honest to God, my head's going to explode the next time I hear it. I've had it with right-wing media. After Trump crashes the economy, unemployment goes through the roof, saying he's playing 4D chess. I'm like, motherfucker, what evidence do you have that he is capable of doing anything? I mean, let's just take a quick trip down memory lane. Inherited $500 million 30 years ago, bankrupted 6 times, bankrupted casinos, which is damn near impossible to do. The only qualification he has is that he was on a reality show called The Apprentice, which was all smoke and mirrors. They couldn't even film it at his office because it was such a dump truck. We've seen the inside of his houses. It's dump truck city. So if I have to hear one more time, he's playing 4D chess, I really might explode.
I'm 100% concur. It is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the people that say it. I'm embarrassed for these people that they can just never quite say, you know, I supported him and it was a huge mistake.
Right.
All the red flags were there. The felony charges, the grab him by the pussy, trying to give a microphone a blowjob on the campaign trail could have been a really big red flag. And I just got sucked up into the moment and it was a dumb thing to do. And now I'm ready to join you all and fight for this country. But instead, these MFers, I think we're talking about a double-digit IQ situation or just breathtaking narcissism. They just cannot reverse course. There's not a shred of decency to reverse course.
I'll tell you, that brings up another one of my I've had it. I've had it with people not taking accountability. If I fuck up or you fuck up, we will go to the other one and say, I am sorry. I was wrong. I need to do better. That's how it's supposed to be. But you have ass clowns from the top, Trump, his wife, Elon Musk, they all sit around and play victim and nobody ever says, you know, I made a mistake. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I'm going to reverse course now and I'm going to do better because accountability is out the window. So now you have all these yahoos with the balls on their trucks running around with impunity thinking nobody has to take accountability for anything. I cannot believe we're here in 2024.
It's overwhelming when you think about the tens of millions of people that went and voted for this man. And here's the thing. You can only look at videos of him, not of any spin from either Fox, where they would spin it favorably, or from CNN or MSNBC, who might spin it unfavorably. Eliminate all of that and just watch videos of him, starting with the blowjob microphone situation, and listen to what he says after that. And then ask yourself, should this person be in charge?
Right, of anything.
Of anything, much less the United States of America. And the problem with Trump 2.0 is now he's surrounded by equally inept morons at a scale that is just staggering. And the incompetence from Signalgate, texting the war plans, to these harebrained tariffs that are tanking the global economy, to denying people due process, disappearing people off the streets, one poor gay barber shipped down to El Salvador. And I think what is so maddening about the whole thing is that I know that there's millions of Americans that enjoy this. Right. And that's the biggest heartbreaker in it.
That really is. They like the cruelty. They're in it for the cruelty.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. I have a relatable, non-political grievance. I've had it with bathroom procrastinators. And what I'm talking about is you're traveling with a friend or your spouse, and you're sitting at an airplane gate, and you have an hour that you've been sitting at the gate. And then the flight attendant says, we're going to start boarding in 1 minute. And then your travel partner says, I'm going to go to the bathroom right now. And you're like, wait, we've been sitting here for 1 hour. You've had 1 hour to go empty the tank, and you're choosing to do it now when we all have to shuffle around and get in line and make sure we do everything properly and efficiently. Now you're going to the bathroom. You do this, and my husband does this.
I always do it because I genuinely have to go to the bathroom. I don't try to do it on purpose.
But what about the 5 minutes before that? You know the flight takes off at 1.
Well, here's what I do.
The boarding is at 1.
I try to time it so that I don't have to pee on the airplane. So I'm timing it like, okay, we board in 8 minutes. Then I'm going to go to the 5 minute mark. And then I'm going to go to the bathroom so that way I can avoid it. But I will say, push back a little bit. When they start like picking up the microphone, you're standing in line texting me. We're in line. I'm like, yeah, but we have assigned seats. So it doesn't matter where I really am in the line.
But I have your shit. You
Do
take
you?
off for the
No,
bathroom.
You just it's always right standing by you. You're not taking it on the plane.
Right, but then that means I can't board.
Haven't you boarded?
Well, yeah, because I started making you take your shit. But
Yeah, I think I kind of have it as a strategic.
Okay.
I think as long as it's 5 minutes before, I don't want to like be walking on the plane and then go, but I like to delay it so that I can, in hopes of avoiding the airplane pee.
The strategy I understand a little bit. In Josh's case, listener, Josh is my husband. I think it's literally like he's just into his phone or whatever it is that he is. And it's just like, oh shit, we're about to board. I better go empty the tank. It's not an intentional, but I do kind of think it's chicken shit to leave your stuff with somebody who wants to board on time, who's then held hostage. Because you know how I am about that kind of stuff. I like to be on time.
You like to be the first one in line.
I like to be in line. I like to get to my seat. Put
you
my
like to
stuff
bounce
under.
up when the wheels touch down.
Yes, I just have a whole rhythm. And then sometimes I'm at the mercy of, in your case, this delayed peeing strategy.
It's a strategy.
And in Josh's case, just irresponsible urination is what I would call it. That's just flat ass irresponsible urination. It would have been more responsible to have done it 5 minutes before.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Kylie, our producer, she has a strategy to dehydrate before flying. And it's pointed out what a great strategy that is. So I've been really trying to use that, and I've been doing better. And then the pilot who did a triple flusher on the plane, and I went right after. So I've been trying to avoid toilets on airplanes. Like for the past year, I've been really good about water intake. But it's a strategy. I just go right there at the end.
Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie.
All right, Kylie, speaking of dehydrating on planes, our listeners tend to follow a little bit of politics, follow a little petty grievances. And everybody knows that last week, Cory Booker, the senator from New Jersey, broke the record for the longest speech on the Senate floor because he's passionate about fighting for democracy and fighting for equality for everybody and trying to save this country from the idiot Donald Trump and his moronic cabinet, a micro penis parade cabinet. And interestingly enough, Cory Booker went online and talked about how he prepped for his 25-hour speech. And I think Kylie has a clip.
Wearing anything that allowed you to not have to go to the bathroom for 25 hours?
I don't want the Senate doctor to get mad at me. I don't want my doctor to get mad at me. But I really spent time dehydrating myself beforehand, so I did not have to go to the bathroom.
You didn't have to go to the bathroom at all for 25 hours.
Kylie, did he call you for tips?
He did. I felt so validated when I watched that.
I saw that and I emailed it to Kylie immediately. And I was like, you and Senator Booker intentionally dehydrating him for democracy. Kylie, because she's a germaphobe.
Right. And because airplane bathrooms are gross. His was selfless. Kylie's is kind of selfish, and I've adopted it.
Yeah, I like it. But you know what's interesting is every time I've been on a flight with you, you get up to pee.
I know. It's awful. But I'd get up to pee twice as much if I didn't try to dehydrate. I'm just a peer.
Yeah, you are. You are. She's a big empty the tanker. Okay, I have some news stories here today that I would like to review.
Okay, excellent.
The first one is a study shows cows hate country music and listening to it makes them produce less milk. Research indicates that music tempo and genre can influence dairy cows' milk production. Slow, soothing music, such as classical pieces, has been associated with increased milk yield due to its calming effects on cows. Conversely, country music does not. And here's what I have to say. What's that asshole that just went to SNL and then played victim?
Morgan Wallen.
That guy. So this schmuck gets invited to go on SNL. He accepts the invitation. This is not a command. This is not your life is in danger. He hops on his PJ and he flies to New York and he does SNL. And then he doesn't want to stay around in the post credit roll and hug everybody and commiserate. He abruptly walks off stage, gets to his private plane, and pops up on Instagram, can't wait to get back to God's country, with a picture of his PJ. And now he's selling merch. Get back to God's country. And I just think, what a whining victim titty baby. This always having to be persecuted when you signed up to go on SNL. And he acts like he was tortured in some liberal bubble. You don't have to do SNL.
Right.
Go sing it in Nashville at Toby Keith's, go fuck me bar or whatever the fuck that place is called. But I mean, come on. I've had it with country music, except for a couple of artists like the Dixie Chicks and maybe anybody else who isn't MAGA. But in general, when I hear country music, and this is old for me, like I always just think Republicans doing bad shit.
Well, who was that guy we saw? There's a bunch of big Trumpers that are country music artists. I don't know why. It just seems that you hear that.
Maybe because the lyrics are dumb. There's a tear in my beer and I'm crying for you, dear. Maybe because it's like stupid music.
Maybe. But here's the thing that I take away from all that. Just like you said, nobody's making you be on SNL. Nobody's making Elon Musk nosedive his stock and go in and harm people on purpose and then sit around and cry about it because people don't like him. You asked for this. This is a consequence of your behavior. Be accountable. The victimhood that I see in 2025, it's like Trump 2.0 makes the victimhood of Trump 1.0, which was unbelievable, blows it out of the water. I didn't think that grown billionaires could cry around about poor me as much as I've seen in the 75 days that Trump has been in office. It is unbelievable. Can you imagine if the woman was crying around about what a victim she was? She'd be hysterical. She'd be unhinged. These men are the biggest whining titty babies I have ever seen in my life.
No, they are. I've never seen such meltdowns. The Little Mermaid's black. Republicans and MAGA have a fucking meltdown. You're scared of a black mermaid? What the fuck is wrong with you, you pussy? They're mad at Snow White because she spoke out for the actress that played Snow White. She spoke out about all of the senseless killings in Palestine and bashed Trump. And now they're having stage 5 meltdowns over her. They are the biggest crying, whinging group of titty babies. It's just unbelievable. I simply don't watch things that I don't like, that might have an actor in it that I don't like. I would not go to a Kid Rock concert and then make a whole thing on Instagram where I'm a victim of Kid Rock.
Right.
I would simply forego the concert and hence forego being a victim. It's that simple. Next up, we've got a story. Gen Z wants us to stop using the thumbs up emoji as it's deemed too passive aggressive. Gen Z is officially calling out the thumbs up emoji, saying it feels passive aggressive and outdated, especially in work chats. What older generations see as simply okay or noted, younger users are interpreting as cold, dismissive, or even sarcastic. And here's what I have to say to that. Double thumbs up. This is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
This is so ridiculous. This is the part where there's a weird intersection in pop culture with our podcast, where we are really liberal and progressive and leftist, and we want to lift up marginalized people and validate people's feelings and be politically correct. And this is the part where I'm not at all politically correct, because I say if you're upset about a thumbs up emoji, the problem is not the emoji, the problem is you. And I would predict that as soon as your parents found out you were conceived, there was a hideous, obnoxious gender reveal party. I would expect that you probably schlep a couple of Stanley Cups to work with you when you're upset about the thumbs up emoji. I just think this is insane to get your panties in a wad about an emoji.
You know, here's the thing. I think we've created this whole generation, and I am guilty of this. You're so special. You're so great. Everything you do is so good. And so now they send a work text and receipt is acknowledged with an okay. And what they wanted was a standing ovation. Oh my gosh, little baby, you are so good. You're the best at this. It's just like, that is not reality.
I agree with all of that. And I also want to add this. Sometimes I think a heart is too strong.
I agree.
Sometimes I message somebody something like, hey, I'm running 5 minutes late. And then I get the heart emoji in response. And I'm like, you love that? Like, we're at love already? And it's like somebody that I just met, a new client or something. I'm like, we're loving each other's texts. That's what the beauty of the thumbs up.
Right.
It's benign. It just notes an acknowledgement. I see your text. I understand that you're running late. I'm not going to start saying, I love it. I love that you sent me a text. Sometimes the heart is too aggressive for me. And that's why, and there's some people that you text that you don't like. And the last thing you're thinking about is hearting anything that they do. And that's the beauty of the thumbs up. Sometimes it's fun to be passive aggressive. Sometimes passive aggressive is a tool that's in your toolbox that you can fuck with people that you work with that you don't like. What I have to say to Gen Z is learn how to harness being stealth passive aggressive and quit demanding love and red heart emojis from everyone, because the world is a very disappointing place. Hone your passive aggressive skills.
I like that. Hone them.
Hone
Get
'em.
better at it.
All right. And in a related story, news of teens who don't enjoy life has doubled thanks to social media, study reveals. Research published in Nature Communication indicates that the impact of social media on life satisfaction varies across different stages of adolescence. The study found that during certain developmental periods, increased social media use predicts a decrease in life satisfaction 1 year later. And here's what I have to say. I get it. When I'm on social media a lot, I'm not as happy. I don't, the idea when I'm like down on my phone like this, looking at it for longer than 20 minutes, I think, ew, put your posture up, put your phone down, live your life. There's a whole world out there that you want to see. But I do kind of think these two things are connected. This artificial world of social media and getting butthurt over thumbs up emojis. Like, people need to live their lives and don't project like into social media too much as to filling a void, and don't put a burden on the recipient of a text with what emoji they should use.
I agree. They're totally bedfellows. And it's just sad to me that because of social media and the use of it, kids are getting less interaction, in-person interaction. And I'm not surprised that this is a result, lonely, sadder, all of those things. Plus, they're comparing themselves all the time. It's a sad situation. It really is.
It really is. Okay. Today, you guys, we have a great guest. His name is Senator Chris Murphy from the great state of Connecticut. And this is a man, when Trump first started his second term, I know that we all felt national paralysis and fear and like, what the fuck is going on? And it felt like the Democrats weren't fighting. It felt like there wasn't a cohesive message. And there was one constant, with the exception of Bernie Sanders, AOC, that really spoke the truth. And I would think, are they seeing what I'm seeing? And then I'd go to Chris Murphy's Twitter, And he was seeing exactly, and he would explain it perfectly. And this man is a fierce defender of democracy. He's a fierce defender of equal rights, civil rights, social justice, the things that are important to all of us here on Asshole Island. So let's welcome to I've Had It, Senator Chris Murphy. This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Listener, I have to share with you guys a game changer for myself and my dogs, and it is the dog food brand Spot and Tango. After trying so many foods, Tubby and Cha-Cha and I were a little skeptic, but since switching, nothing has made a difference like Spot and Tango.
Spot and Tango is a personalized dog food subscription that delivers high-quality, ready-to-serve meals, snacks, and supplements right to your door, so no more last-minute pet store runs. I used to hate feeding Tubby and Cha-Cha this mystery kibble filled with processed meats and fillers. Food is medicine, and our dogs deserve the best. With Spot and Tango, I finally know exactly what's in their bowl. Fresh, human-grade ingredients like high-quality protein and veggies, no fillers, no junk, just real food for dogs. Their unkibble meals are made with human-grade ingredients, including USDA meat, fruits, and veggies. Listener, Spot and Tango is offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. For a limited time, go to spotandtango.com/hadit and use code HADIT to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/hadit. Code HADIT to get 50% off your first order. spotandtango.com/hadit. Again, that code is HADIT.
Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Could it be because it has a sleek, spam-free site? Or the most in-depth school info? Homes.com knows every parent wants the best for their kids, so they're the only ones with school and district details and reviews from multiple sources, including niche. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com has 22 data visualization layers, 7 environmental layers, and allows you to search by commute and architectural factors. It's the home search you've been searching for. Go to Homes.com today for home shopping the way it should be. Homes.com, we've done your homework. All right, let's welcome to I've Had It, a fierce defender of democracy and fighter of fascism, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today? How's your job going? How's work?
Well, okay, those are two different questions. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm healthy. My children are healthy. It stopped raining. My job is a pain in the ass these days.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we like to start off with just a daily petty grievance. And so we ask all of our guests what they've had it with. So Senator Chris Murphy, what have you had it with?
Price gouging by sports teams. So I just tried to buy tickets for me and my two sons to go to a Red Sox game up in Boston. It's my favorite team. I really want my kids to become Boston Red Sox fan, and I'm not winning that argument. Like to get a seat that's like, we're just within like eyesight of the field, $175, $150. Like, I'm not like complaining about the amount of money I make, but like nobody who's making $50,000 a year can afford to go to like a Red Sox game or a Bruins game or a Rangers game. And like, that's tragic because that's like a coming of age experience for kids. And like, it's now just affordable for hedge fund managers and CEOs. And it's, I don't know. It's heartbreaking to me as like a sports fan who like my relationship with my father was all about our relationship to sports and live sports. So that's my headache.
Yeah, I get that. We're big Oklahoma City Thunder fans, and they're like the top team in the NBA, which when you live in a little market city like ours, it's a BFD, to quote the former president. And same thing, like they're probably going to make it to the playoffs, and it's so expensive, and you want to get good seats and you want to experience the ambiance. But I want to share with our listeners something I thought was really wholesome and sweet about you. We were trying to book you, and Pumps and I like to film at like 8 a.m. And your staff said that you were unavailable because you like to take your kids to school. And I just thought, in this world of all this horrible Trumpism and all of these horrible men that are trying to be so macho, that just was like, I was like, oh, he takes his kids to school every morning. I loved hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's still my most important job, being a dad. And they're 16 and 13. So like I'm on the clock. Like I don't have that many years where, I get to see them every single day. And you know what, for as long as I've done this job, but especially right now, like they're the ground, right? Like you can't get like too self-important when you've got two kids that don't really care that you're a United States Senator, that just, want to know if you can help them with their homework or unwind, the problem with their, the girl they like at school. So like, to me, like that's sort of what keeps me honest in this job, is by spending as much time as I can with them. And like it's so hard at that age to get them to talk to you. So that drive to school, when I have them like trapped in the car, is sometimes the only, moment that I can actually get them to answer some questions. So yeah, sorry that we had to, rejigger around the driving to school schedule, but yeah, pretty important.
I was really happy to do it, but I'm worried about young boys in this country right now. I have two sons. Pumps has two sons. You just mentioned that you had two sons. And we have a president that ushered in Andrew Tate. He had, what was the name of that boxer? Conor McGregor at the White House. The president himself, we all know what he said on the Access Hollywood tape, adjudicated rapist, all sorts of just horrible misogyny that seems to be mainstreamed. And I know there isn't a political fix for this per se, but just as a dad and as a parent, what can you speak on to this rising surge of misogyny, and that the boys in this country, they just don't seem like they're okay. And it really worries me.
Yeah, I think about this all the time. And it's so heartbreaking to me that we have outsourced to the right a conversation with men and boys. And like, I just do think we have to be honest that like men in general are going through something right now. And of course they are, because for like thousands of years, our societies were patriarchal. Men were on top of everything, on top of families, the economy, culture, and they still are. But all of a sudden, women are in the workforce. All of a sudden, in 40% of families, the female makes more than the male. And so, the easy way that you used to identify yourself, as a man, right, protector, breadwinner, for a lot of men has disappeared. And, the right has this really irresponsible, tale to tell. Let's just dial it back, to 1950 or 1880. And that's not right. But the left kind of tells boys and men, like, just get over it. Like, just get over it. And that's a hard thing to get over, because you've got to replace that identity structure with something else. And then, there's a couple other things going on for boys, and you guys know this. One, I think social media has been in some ways much more harmful on boys, because they are, less natural in creating social connections. And so when they get given this invitation to withdraw into their phone, boys really easily take it because they're just not as naturally connective as I think as young women are. And then let's just be honest, like the Me Too movement has been confusing for young boys, right? Sort of not knowing exactly sort of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable in terms of how they approach girls, which has also caused a lot of them to withdraw, not as much dating, boys having sex much later. That's been tough on boys too. So there's just a lot going on. And the left is just kind of like, I don't want to talk about it. It's messy. I'm going to say the wrong words. And the only message that these boys get is from the right, which is it's the women, who've done this to you. And we would just be better to dial the whole culture back. And that's a terrible answer. We got to have a better one.
I completely agree. One thing that we talk about all the time on this podcast is that we have these white men in positions of power, Trump and his wife/controller, Elon Musk, sitting around crying that they're victims all the time, yet they juxtapose themselves as these alpha males. And I'm like, how can people watch this and think, oh yeah, billionaires crying about poor me is perfectly acceptable? And I just wonder, from your perspective in a position of power, how do you perceive the constant self-victimizing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tactic that they're using to try to get richer. I mean, this whole thing is a con. It's Donald Trump, Elon Musk, their Mar-a-Lago friends, just making up arguments to enable them to steal from us, right? To award themselves contracts, to shut down programs that matter to the middle class, like Medicaid, in order to give themselves more, in order to award contracts to them and their friends, to give themselves more tax breaks. And so, they're going to tell whatever story is necessary to engage in that kind of theft. And I do think we have to have a conversation about where male role models exist. It is true. Like, a lot of young men do look up to people like Elon Musk and Mark Cuban, people who have had this tremendous economic success. But success is not just becoming a billionaire, right? Success is, being a leader, being a good human being, giving back to your community. So one of the things that I'm obsessive about is getting more men into teaching, so that, you have more male role models that are just doing good, providing an education in the classroom. We need more young men to have easy attachment to male role models early in their life. The dad can be your male role model, but a lot of young men don't have dads in their lives, and teachers can do that. But we still have a hard time getting men into the teaching profession. That could help alleviate this reflex that a lot of young men have to sort of look just at the billionaire class as their set of role models.
So ever since Trump 2.0 started, there was this paralysis, nationwide paralysis. And all of us were kind of searching for the truth. Who's going to speak truly about what's happening and what we're seeing? And consistently, Senator, you were one of those people that I saw on MSNBC, or I could go to your Twitter page. And I was like, he's telling us, he's verifying that what I'm seeing, and pardon my language, but this fuckery is real, and that they're doing this on purpose, and they're doing this for sport or for Vladimir Putin or for both. And you spoke about it, and it was so comforting, because knowing the truth, even if it's not what you want to hear, at least you know that that's the truth. And so with these tariffs, you see all of these Americans losing their 401ks that they paid into their whole life. And then they may be thinking, oh, this sucks, I'm going to have Social Security. Well, we know Elon Musk has called that a Ponzi scheme, and a lot of your coworkers are trying to dismantle and privatize that, which is not going to end well. And so when I went after these tariffs, I went to your Twitter page, and you had the most logical example. And you beautifully wrote that you think this is an additional attack on democracy, so that corporations and business would be beholden to Trump. He likes reducing people and reducing businesses to come to him and kiss the ring, which brings me back to my one point. A lot of this is done for sport, for a broken man with inner child issues, and it's manifesting in the United States of America.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think you have to see everything through one prism, right? This is a broken man, but a broken man who wants to rule forever, who wants to crush the opposition so that he or his family or his chosen successor can rule in perpetuity. And there's a playbook for how this happens, how somebody who's democratically elected never leaves power. You basically co-opt all of the centers of power in the country, and you force them to essentially sign loyalty pledges. So that's what's happening right now. He's doing that with law firms. He's doing that with colleges and universities. And now he's going to do that with industry. That's what the tariffs are about. At least that's my opinion. Last night, economists were like super confused when the tariffs came out because they were like, this doesn't make any sense. Like there's no logical explanation for how this is going to improve jobs or improve the trade balance. And what I said, as you read, it doesn't make sense economically because it has nothing to do with economics. What he's doing is he's setting up this system of penalization on industry so that every industry or every big business has to come to him, bend the knee, kiss the ring, and pledge loyalty in order to get tariff relief. And that'll have a double impact. First, the economy will get a little bit better when he releases a certain set of tariffs and everybody can shout hooray, but then he gets the loyalty pledge. I don't know what that looks like, but the company could, decide to never publicly criticize the president. They could pledge campaign contributions. They could decide that they're going to police their employees and make sure none of their employees work for Democrats. It's not economic policy. It's just about his need to have people prostrate themselves to him and his belief that in doing that, the democracy will become so weak, the opposition will become so weak that he won't ever have to worry about Democrats winning. I don't think that's how it's going to play out. I still think that we have the power to defeat him, but that's the game that he's playing.
All right, let's do a little trash talking on your former coworker, Marco Rubio, and what an abject disappointment Lil Marco has become. And I think Trump kind of pegged him when he first ridiculed him back in 2016. I am just so embarrassed for him because he knows better. He knows what happened with Zelensky in the Oval Office was an ambush for a party of one for Vladimir Putin. Russian state TV is in there. And he just sits there and goes along with this bullshit. And I don't know the guy personally, but you do. What is your take on this? The emasculation by Donald Trump of so many of these MAGA men. And, there's a theme that's running through this whole conversation with you. And it is this masculinity, either, realized or unrealized or in search of. But Donald Trump consistently enjoys emasculating people because maybe Freud would say he's never been realized as a strong man himself. But, we'll do a psychology episode another day. But let's gossip about Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I can't explain what has happened to Rubio. When he first came to the Senate, he was an interesting guy. He, participated in a big bipartisan negotiation to change the immigration laws. He actually signed on to a bill that would have provided a pathway to citizenship for, 12 million Americans. And then, over time, he just stopped being interesting. So this wasn't terribly surprising to us who have watched Rubio. He hasn't participated in any bipartisan talks. He hasn't had an interesting idea in a decade. And, I think it's really hard to understand what happens when the cult takes over, right? Yeah. If you had a friend, right, who went away and joined a cult for 3 years, right, who came back a fundamentally different person. And somebody said, well, what happened? You'd be like, well, I don't know. I wasn't with him in the cult. I wasn't, I didn't see the indoctrination they were doing on him. That's kind of my view. It's they go into this closed information ecosystem, right, where they are only hearing from the MAGA voices in which Donald Trump dominates. That's not the world I live in. But something in that world corrupts both your mind and your soul. Yeah. So you go from being interesting and sometimes independent, like Marco Rubio was, to a stooge in which you just take orders. It's like a cult. And I don't understand how it works. And maybe there's a magic potion that they give these guys, but they just come out on the other end of it fundamentally different people. And Rubio's not alone. There's plenty of other members of Congress who used to be interesting who are now, just sycophants.
Yeah, totally. Okay, another person that I've totally had it with, I've always had it with him forever, is obviously Mitch McConnell. But the fact that he's now an asshole that's finding a moment of clarity really sits in my craw, because it's just like, dude, you've been an asshole forever. You built, you fed, you coddled, you rocked this entire beast in this moment where we are right now. Your Supreme Court, you dicked over Obama. You're one of the main architects of this entire dismantling. And now you found Jesus and you're voting like he voted a couple nights ago with you all. And it just pisses me off, because it shows that they just like to own the libs for sport. And then when it gets down to it, he's like, oh shit, hold up. I don't want
What'd I do?
Well, oh yeah. It really pisses me off. I mean, like, what's it like when you see him at work? I mean,
but I have the same feeling that you do, right? Because like, I can't not have some appreciation for the fact that like he's the only one doing the right thing. But he birthed this.
Yes.
He birthed this. Like, this is his baby. And he midwifed the Tea Party into existence,
Totally.
which led to MAGA. And then, he's got a number of sins that he will have to account for. But, at the heart of it is the second impeachment trial, right? There were six Republicans that came out and voted for it. That meant that we only had to get about 10 more Republicans, and we would have disqualified Trump from ever running for office again. If Mitch McConnell, who was very powerful then, by the time he left being the majority leader, he had lost a lot of influence. But back then, had he come out and put his vote where his mouth was, right? He condemned Trump's role in January 6th, but then he wouldn't vote to impeach him. Had he voted to impeach him, I'm almost sure that another 8 or 10 Republicans would have come along with him. Trump would have been disqualified from office. This would still be a dark moment, but it wouldn't be as dystopian as it is. And so I'm with you. Like, I have such complicated feelings about McConnell, in part because he also did some good things, before this election. Like, we passed the bipartisan gun bill, which has saved a ton of lives in this country in 2022. Because McConnell decided finally to do something about guns. Like, he literally pushed that bill into existence on the Republican side. So there's like a decent handful of good things that he has done, but those original sins, I mean, you just can't wash them away.
all right, listener, you know that feeling when you get home from a long day at work and you immediately want to take off your bra? I have to tell you guys, Pumps and I are now wearing Honey Love, and I've not experienced that feeling ever since I made the switch to their products. I never even think about the fact that I'm wearing a crossover bra by Honey Love because it's so comfortable. It is my number one go-to.
I love the V-neck bra because it gives me enough support for my big boobs, and it doesn't make them look like uniboobs, and it's so comfortable.
And listener, Honey Love isn't just about bras. They've got shapewear, tanks, and leggings that are just as comfortable and supportive. Honey Love's best-selling Super Power Short is also a must-have. Listener, treat yourself to the most comfortable and innovative bras on earth and save 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/hadit. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off honeylove.com/hadit. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Experience the new standard in bras with Honey Love. This episode is supported by FX's Dying for Sex, starring Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate. Inspired by a true story, this series follows Molly, who, after receiving a terminal cancer diagnosis, decides to leave her husband to explore the full breadth of her sexual desires. She gets the courage and support to go on this sex quest from her best friend, Nikki, who stays by her side through it all. FX's Dying for Sex, all episodes now streaming on Hulu. Okay. And then there's just one senator I just love. And I need to know, we've had him on the podcast, but it was via Zoom. I just love Bernie. I just feel like he just puts on his mittens and he goes to work for working class Americans. And he's always had the same message. And he was right. He was right about so much, about the pitfalls of capitalism. And then in America, you were kind of talking about this earlier, where we operate a lot under the assumption. We assume that because somebody is a billionaire, that they're a genius. And I think anybody anybody who's seen an interview of Elon Musk and it appears that he speaks English as though it's his second language, I'm like, I don't think that guy's very smart. I mean, I'm thinking he's an opportunist, an intelligent person about how to create an opportunity. But Bernie has been calling this out, this oligarchy, and sounding the alarm. And is he fun to work with, or is he always just kind of like that Muppet character?
I mean, so the person you see, like what you imagine Bernie to be like behind the scenes is exactly what Bernie is like behind the scenes, right? Like Bernie is passionate. He is kind of crotchety, right? Like he can sometimes be a little intimidating to sit down next to and talk to because, you know, he's on it all the time. But he and I have become much closer over the last year because I really have become convinced that he has the message, right? That his message of fierce, pugilistic economic populism, like I'm going to tell you who's screwing you, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we're going to fix it. That is the crossover message. That is the message that actually steals voters from Trump's base. And for a long time, the Democratic Party looked at Bernie as kind of this like fringe figure to avoid. Well, we can't let our party adopt Bernie Sanders' message. No, actually, his message is the message that resonates with a whole lot of poor people out there, a whole lot of people who have been fucked over by the existing economic order. And, you know, whether Bernie's the messenger or not, I don't know. But what he is selling, corporations ruining your life, corporate consolidation being bad for small businesses and bad for workers, power to unions, double the minimum wage. Like that's it. Like that's the winning message. And so as I've begun to say that more publicly and privately, Bernie and I have become closer. And it's, you know, one of the most fun parts for me of the last year is getting closer to him and feeling a little bit less intimidated than I used to be to sit down next to Bernie Sanders and start a conversation.
I agree with you that that's the message moving forward for the Democratic Party. You know, we are based in Oklahoma City, red state. Trump dump, already Christian nationalism here, you know, ranked 49th in education. So we can always make the argument to people, if you want to know what Republican policies do, look at states that have Republican supermajorities. Their economy's not the best, poverty, bad education, bad health care, et cetera. But the one thing I like about Bernie's messaging is that it's an inclusive message. And it is that if we fight for economic equality for everybody, that means everybody. So to, you know, Bob and Karen that live over here in rural Oklahoma, you might think that a trans kid is the worst thing you've ever heard of, but we can't cede their rights, because once we cede their rights, then they're coming for the lesbians and the gays, and then they're coming for the women. And then before you know it, they're coming for you, and the corporations control everybody. And what I like about Bernie's message is that it can encapsulate the left side of the party and the center, everybody, because it's equality for all. And I don't think the message right now is to run to the center and hang out with Liz Cheney and look, we have a Republican that likes us. I'm just like, we can't give somebody a trophy because they looked at Trump and said he's a moron and he's dangerous. Like my kids did that. They're teenagers, you know? So I think that
low bar.
Yeah, exactly. Bar. And so anyway, I'm so happy to have you on because I've been like psycho stalking you because you tell the truth. Like
Right.
you tell us the truth. Like what you're seeing is real, and it's some really nefarious shit, and it's really happening. And so I was wondering, like, does Chris Murphy have Riz? And I was like, and after this interview, I'm like, you've got some Riz.
You have Riz.
Yeah, you've got some Riz. But we're going to play a game with you called
I'm blushing now.
You've got some Riz.
You know, it's
okay.
embarrassing. Listen, I mean, here's what I do. I mean, I just, I think the coin of the realm today is authenticity. Like people want to hear what you really think. So like you referenced that like long Twitter thread that I sent out last night, calling out the tariffs as bullshit, that it's all just a mechanism to try to compel loyalty from the business community. Like that's just me, right? Like that's just me literally sitting at my kitchen table being like, this is bullshit. I'm going to call it out. Those videos I do, they're not scripted, right? That's just sort of me saying, bring in the camera. I want to talk about this. There's a lot of political communication these days that gets filtered, by consultants and pollsters and communications professionals. And I have a great team of communications people in my office, but like they just let me be myself. And that's what people want, right? Is for you to show. That's why Corey's thing was so great the other night. Was Corey was like himself. He was showing legitimate outrage. He cried in the middle of his filibuster. Like, people want to see who we really are. And the voices that are breaking through right now in Democratic politics are the voices that are not holding back, like are willing to make some mistakes sometimes, but are just showing you passion, heartbreak, anger, and that's what I'm trying to do.
And that's key.
Maybe I succeed every other day.
Democrats cannot be risk adverse. I mean, when you see everything that MAGA politicians have done with impunity, if you misstep, if you misspeak, if you say one thing one day and then you talk to a bunch of voters over the course of the next 2 weeks and you evolve your opinion, so freaking be it. I mean, because at this point, as a Democrat, I'm always going to say, like, you voted for a guy that tried to give a microphone a blowjob on the campaign trail, and you want to preach to me about my vote?
So
Fuck off. And that's what the attitude I think Dems need to have. Okay, we're going to dive more into the riz of Chris Murphy with our next game, and it's called Had It or Hit It. And so I'm going to list something, and if you like it, you'll say hit it. And if you don't like it, you'll say had it. Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it.
Had it.
I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. Okay, town halls.
Hit it. I want to hit it. Yeah, I'm gonna go do town. I'm doing town halls all over the country in Republican districts. We need more of them. Hold these bastards to account.
Okay, group chats, especially on Signal app. Had it or hit it?
Well, hit it, but just be careful.
No war plans.
Strategic. Okay.
Be careful. Like, don't do work. Yeah, I'm all for Signal chats. Just like more Signal chats, less war plans.
Okay. Two more. Had it or hit it, Cybertrucks.
Had it.
Oh, totally agree. Peeny weeny micro penis parade. All right. Last one. Had it or hit it, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
I mean, had it, but there's no better options. It's not like, the better option is Hakeem Jeffries. So if that's my option, then had it. But if the option is whatever the new Matt Gaetz is, I would, reconsider the had it.
Yeah. Okay. Senator Murphy, thank you for joining us today. Keep fighting fascism and fighting for democracy. We really like you, and tell your kids you were on a cool podcast in carpool tomorrow.
Will do. See you guys.
Bye.
He does have riz.
He has some riz. I think I loved that he trash talked his coworkers, because everybody loves to talk shit on their coworkers.
Everybody loves it.
And if you were a senator or a congressman, the trash talking at that level, it's epic. I mean, that is like peak trash talking. And so I'm glad that he came on here to do a little trash talking of some of his coworkers, because everybody likes to do it.
Everybody likes to do it. Now, here's a question. Do you think when we leave, Kylie and Seth trash talk us?
Oh my God, 1,000,000,000%.
A million
As they
percent.
should.
As they should.
Bitching about your boss is just something that you do. It's a rite of passage.
Right. And if you don't expect to be trash talked at work, then you're probably in the wrong job.
I would be disappointed in them.
Right.
If they didn't trash talk us.
Right. Just don't let us ever hear it. That's the only thing.
Okay, guys, listen. I know that this has all been overwhelming, all this MAGA stuff, Trump, but we all meet here on Asshole Island. Pump, say it.
We will see you next Tuesday.
No.
Oh, the fuck! Wait. Wait, hold on. It was like a half. Fuck off!
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, listen, we have merch. We have a book coming out. The link will be below in the comment section if you're on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. Pumps and I, listen, we have a very ambitious, lofty little goal here.
Right.
We are trying to get to 1 million subs on our YouTube channel. And surprisingly, it's within striking distance.
It is.
But we need your help, because for two barely competent broads like Pumps and me, we need this other YouTube trophy. We got one. We got 100,000. We were really excited that
oh my gosh,
you could
we were
win a
so
trophy
excited.
at our age.
But now to be 55 and receive this trophy, this would be my Oscar.
Hang on, let me. She's 55. I'm 50. Okay,
You are such a bitch.
You said that like it was a we, and I just wanted to inject in the permanent record. I'm significantly younger than Pumps, but we do want that trophy.
We do
that
want the
YouTube
trophy.
Okay, so subscribe, get your friends to subscribe, log into your friends' YouTubes and subscribe there as well. We love everyone. We're going to get through this together. We're going to fight for democracy. Pumps, tell them.
We will see you next Tuesday and Thursday.
Thursday.
I'm from Oklahoma. God, what a moron.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that.
Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw.
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw.
That's it. That's
Caw-caw.
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.